A 17-year-old summer worker gets deliberately tricked by his boss into working at the most vicious gang slaughterhouse in Country R. He thinks it's just simple pig slaughtering work, but he discovers that the pig ribs he butchers all have traces of being glued back together, with some unknown white powder seeping out from the cracks. Realizing he's involved in something illegal, the boy immediately calls his boss in secret, saying he wants to return home, but his boss uses his sister's tuition and his mother's debts to threaten him into staying one more month. Burning with anger, he has no choice but to grit his teeth and endure it. He returns to the slaughterhouse, pretending nothing happened and continuing to work. But unexpectedly, a guy responsible for moving the drug-filled pig ribs accidentally drops and shatters the ribs all over the ground. In an instant, white powder erupts from the broken ribs. Seeing this, the bald boss guarding the place hastily explains in a panic, "There's a bit too much bone dust floating around. Don't worry about it. Just keep up the good work." Hearing this, Maru can only continue pretending to be clueless and nods. The bald boss then scolds his subordinate while picking up the ribs from the ground. Feeling guilty, the subordinate asks the bald boss in R language, "Boss, isn't the pig butcher from Country H? He should know this is illicit substances, right? Plus he can't understand R language." But as soon as he finishes speaking, the bald boss's face turns extremely ugly. "You idiot! This H country guy understands." With that, he whips out a pistol and aims it at Maru's head. The sudden turn of events plunges Maru into despair. He works hard butchering pigs every day just to support his family. Yet now, he's about to die without explanation in a foreign land. At this moment, an intense will to survive bursts from Maru's heart. Just 1 second before the bald boss pulls the trigger, Maru swings his butcher knife without hesitation and instantly severs the hand holding the gun. Looking at the severed hand, Maru can't help but recall what his boss once told him. Pigs and humans share 95% genetic similarity, and you happen to be a natural-born butcher. You can instantly observe how to butcher in the most lethal way. One day, you won't be able to tell whether you're killing a person or a pig. As the bald boss's body crashes to the ground, Maru can't quite believe he actually butchered a person like a pig. However, just as he loses focus, the subordinate suddenly charges forward and catches Maru off guard, slamming him into the work table. He pounds Maru's head viciously. "Today was supposed to be the day my big bro proposed to his girlfriend. It's all your fault, you damn H-country pig butcher. You ruined everything." With that, he clenches his fist, ready to smash Maru's head. Seeing this, Maru instantly swings his butcher knife and stabs it into the subordinate's large belly. But unexpectedly, this does no damage to him at all. Instead, it only fuels his rage even more. He reaches out with both large hands, about to snap Maru's neck. In an instant, intense suffocation sets in. Maru's consciousness begins to fade. In his daze, he hears his boss's voice explaining with a piglet, "A pig's bones are hard and its fat is thick. If you're not careful, the knife will get stuck. So as a butcher, you must remember the best path to avoid bones and cut through fat. But don't worry too much. If it's you, your instincts will find that spot." His boss's words ring like an alarm bell, instantly snapping Maru's consciousness back. He immediately twists the blade forcefully at the spot where he stabbed, successfully avoiding the bone and slashing open the subordinate's belly. He completely finishes off the fearless subordinate. Looking at the two men lying in pools of blood, Maru can't help but feel physically nauseated. He had no choice but to kill them to save his own life. If he turns himself into the police, will they believe him? And even if the police don't prosecute, the gang won't let him go. So Maru immediately decides to burn everything down. But unexpectedly, at this moment, someone suddenly appears with a machine gun, and without a word, starts shooting wildly at Maru downstairs. Maru immediately flees with his hands over his head, running into the only place he can hide, the freezer. But in the man's eyes, this is simply a death trap. He holds his gun and begins slowly searching for the hidden kid. Little does he know, Maru is quietly taking off his shoe and hiding it in the shadows as bait. Sure enough, the man, mistaking it for his target, immediately shoots wildly at the shoe. Maru seizes this opportunity and kicks the pig carcasses hanging on the metal rack. In an instant, the man gets knocked to the ground by a row of rapidly sliding pig carcasses. Without hesitation, Maru leaps up and drives the butcher knife deep into the man's shoulder. Seeing this, the man can't help but mock him, "You idiot. If you're going to stab, you should stab the neck." With that, he triumphantly raises the machine gun toward Maru's head. But just as he's about to pull the trigger, he finds his finger completely unable to move. It turns out Maru has always remembered his boss's teaching. Whether it's a pig or a person, stabbing the shoulder will paralyze them. So the immobilized man can only let Maru finish him off with one strike. Finally, watching the fire consume the entire factory and burn away all traces of what happened, Maru finally feels relieved and boards the flight home. But just when he thinks everything is over, and happily opens his front door with gifts, he only sees his home in complete disarray and a broken pig rib on the floor. Maru's spine goes cold. He can't understand why these damn illicit substances are in his home. But before he can figure it out, a group of people suddenly emerges menacingly from the shadows. Maru's first reaction is that the gang has come to hunt him down. Terrified, he decides to go all in and take everyone down. But unexpectedly, the man with glasses suddenly pulls out credentials and introduces himself as Detective Hante Shik from the Drug Crime Investigation Unit, asking Maru to come with him. These words instantly make Maru think about the people he killed in Country R. Anxiously, he asks the police why they want to talk to him. Hante Shik says with a dark expression, "Because your mother used illicit substances." Hearing this, Maru can hardly believe it. Ever since the family went bankrupt, although his mother still spends extravagantly, she would never cross the line and actively touch drugs. But in the hospital, his mother's appearance, tortured to the point of near madness, forces Maru to accept this terrible reality. Seeing this, Hante Shik takes out the pig rib that concealed the drugs and asks Maru seriously, "Do you know when your mother started using drugs? And are you completely unaware of these illicit substances?" The barrage of questions makes Maru somewhat panicked, but he still forces himself to stay calm and claims he knows nothing. But Hante Shik catches Maru's subtle expression changes after handing over his business card and voluntarily ending the conversation. Back in the car, Hante-shik thinks it over and still feels Maru might be hiding something. He orders his subordinates to secretly investigate Maru. Meanwhile, Maru, completely unaware he's being watched by the police, is racking his brain trying to figure out who would do this to his mother when his boss, Director Hong, suddenly calls. "Little Maru, did you receive the drug-filled ribs I sent? You didn't think it was the gang, did you? How would those people know where your home is?" At this moment, learning that the culprit is Director Hong, whom he respected like a father, Maru chokes up and asks what he did wrong. But Director Hong says cheerfully, "Our Maru did nothing wrong. In fact, because you're a genius butcher, I want to work with you forever." Hearing this, Maru immediately curses furiously. "You destroyed my family like this. How dare you say such shameless things?" But Director Hong tells him not to get too excited. "Right now, Naru is at our company, saying she really wants to see you. And with your mother now an addict, you'll need to support Naru. You must be really short on money, right? Maru, do you know how much money you can make killing a person? We were never an ordinary pig slaughtering company. Those skills I taught you weren't for cutting pork. Anyway, I'll send the best car to pick you up. Come to work today. We'll kill people together, understand?" As Director Hong hangs up, Maru finally understands he's been deceived and used by the person he trusted most. Learning the truth, he can no longer suppress the rage in his heart. Only one thought fills his mind: revenge. Meanwhile, Baek Sek-ho, a manager at World Livestock Foods, and manager Choi Doyle received Director Hong's order to pick up the new recruit and bring him to the company. They're arguing over who should go pick him up. They even resort to using weapons to settle it. In the end, Choi Doyle compromises. After all, the simple-minded Baek Sek-ho would only cause trouble outside. It's better to leave him here to watch the car. But as night falls, and Baek Sek-ho is awakened by a stray cat, Choi Doyle is still nowhere to be seen. So to find out what's going on, Baek Sek-ho heads straight to Maru's house. After pulling open the slightly ajar door, he sees the living room full of signs of a fight. And in the bedroom inside, someone is lying face down. Seeing this, Baek Sek-ho can't help but complain. This guy said he was going to pick up the new recruit. Did he send him to the afterlife instead? With that, he lifts his foot to kick the body on the ground. But when he sees the face clearly, he's utterly shocked. The dead person is actually Choi Doyle. Looking at this unbelievable scene, Baek Sek-ho immediately pulls out his iron hammer and laughs maniacally. "The seniors came all this way to welcome you, and you dare to use a knife? This will make it impossible for you to survive in this business." Hearing this, Maru appears with a short knife and asks with a twisted expression, "Are you also from World Livestock?" The moment he gets a positive answer, Maru immediately lunges forward and swings his short knife at Baek Sek-ho. But unexpectedly, with just one swing of his iron hammer, Baek Sek-ho instantly shatters his short knife. He even follows up, swinging his large iron hammer to smash Maru's head. At this time, completely unaware that Maru is in crisis, the World Livestock Foods Department is preparing a welcome party for Maru under Director Hong's leadership. Manager Oh Jun-shik, also a manager, simply cannot understand sending Manager Baek to pick up the new recruit. Because Manager Baek is a legendary figure. He once defeated countless thugs and gangsters with his bare hands and became the ruler of the entire area. But what truly made him was the iron hammer Director Hong gave him. When the strongest physical strength is combined with the strongest weapon, Manager Baek with his hammer becomes the unstoppable bull. Indeed, just as Oh Jun-shik says, Maru has barely started fighting and is already being beaten by Baek Sek-ho with no way to defend himself. And strangely, Maru discovers that Baek Sek-ho isn't just strong. His attack speed is getting faster and faster during the fight. As Baek Sek-ho launches another wave of attacks, Maru can only dodge with all his might while using the remaining blade to cut his opponent's body. Then, seizing an opening, he prepares to stab hard with one strike. Unexpectedly, Baek Sek-ho suddenly turns his head and bites the knife tip. He mocks Maru, "You're such a weakling. You're not even worthy of tickling me." As he finishes speaking, he suddenly delivers a fierce kick, grabs Maru's leg, and catches him off guard, flinging him out and smashing him into the cement wall, creating a hole. Seeing Maru still alive after such heavy damage, Baek Sek-ho can't help but sigh, "How interesting. Now you're going to taste the hammer." But at this moment, he discovers his wrist is gurgling and dripping blood. He didn't expect Maru to be so underhanded, attacking the same spot repeatedly. Burning with rage, he immediately raises the iron hammer, gathering all his strength to end this game. At this time, on the other side, Director Hong's welcome party setup is finally complete. Hearing his subordinates discussing Manager Baek's strength, Director Hong says, "Manager Baek is indeed the strongest among managers and employees, but for Maru, who's about to be promoted to section chief, that's not necessarily true. Manager Baek is the unstoppable bull, but no matter how powerful the bull is, he's just livestock, and livestock, no matter how strong, can never beat a butcher." At this moment, Baek Sek-ho, defeated on the ground, finally realizes that Maru's seemingly random attacks were actually all aimed at his nerves, and he calculated that they would all rupture at once when he used his full strength. This makes Baek Sek-ho gain new respect for the newcomer before him. For this bull who's been mighty all his life, to be slaughtered by a true expert is a death without regrets. After Maru finally deals with the two managers World Livestock sent to welcome him, he immediately heads to the company, radiating killing intent. He sees all the employees enthusiastically celebrating his promotion to section chief. With a grim face, Maru tosses down 2 ID badges. At this time, the oblivious employees think these are gifts the section chief brought them. They immediately get excited and declare they'll follow their dear section chief to the death. But when the photos of Baek Sek-ho and Choi Doyle appear on the IDs, everyone instantly falls into dead silence. Then they all simultaneously pull out their weapons and enter a vicious combat state. Seeing this, Maru closes the warehouse door and turns around, viciously telling these piglets to come at him all at once. As the group swarms forward, Maru immediately dances through the crowd with his knife and iron hammer. Director Hong sits in the viewing area like this, admiring Maru's exquisite knife skills. smiles. He even can't help but pull out cheering sticks, and cheers passionately for Maru to quickly finish off all these people. Although humans think pigs are docile animals, they sometimes attack humans. So the first step for a butcher slaughtering a pig is to knock the pig unconscious with one strike. The second step is to bleed the pig while piercing both the carotid artery and jugular vein. The third step is to start skinning and officially butcher the pig. At this moment, Maru applies all these techniques with masterful precision. In just a few minutes, he takes down more than half the people. Seeing a few stragglers still cowering in the corner, Maru mercilessly walks forward and swings his iron hammer to finish off these people as well. But at this moment, Director Hong suddenly appears and catches the 100-pound hammer with one hand. Grinning, he crushes the iron hammer with his bare hands and says, "Maru, didn't I tell you? Sooner or later, you won't be able to tell whether you're slaughtering a person or a pig." With that, his other hand grabs a cake and smashes it hard into Maru's face. Hong Junho had long anticipated things would develop this way, because Maru, like him, is a butcher. Then he raises his hand and points behind him, telling Maru to stop playing with pigs and come inside where he has everything prepared. But Maru only wants to know where Naru is. He's not here to join them. But just as the two are at a standoff, Hong Junho's other subordinate, accountant Jim Young, suddenly squats on the ground with tears in her eyes, heartbroken. After tasting a bite of the destroyed cake, she suddenly stands up with tears streaming down and demands, "Who was so cruel as to throw the cake on the ground?" Oh Junshik, lying on the ground, wants to say it was Hong Junho, but is suddenly silenced by a large foot. Hong Junho unexpectedly points behind Jim Young, and the other two subordinates wisely follow their boss, pointing in the same direction. Seeing himself being falsely accused, Maru wants to explain. But the enraged Jim Yang directly pulls out a pistol and immediately fires a shot at Maru, then follows with a merciless barrage of shots. At this moment, Maru knows well that to subdue a gunman, he must find a way to close the distance. But unexpectedly, Jim Yang takes the initiative and leaps forward first. In desperation, Maru quickly strikes out with his palm to block Jim Yang's gun hand. But unexpectedly, Jim Yang immediately changes her attack method, kicks him down hard, grabs his collar, and delivers a bam 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 beating. At this time, Hong Junho, watching the show from the side, reminds Maru, "Be careful. Jim Yang is the strongest attack force bred by the people." As soon as he finishes speaking, Jim Yang's legs suddenly wrap around Maru's body, both hands gripping a pistol aimed straight at his forehead. Jim Yang, as a top agent who fled from Country H, first met Hong Junho at his crime scene, and the moment Hong Junho saw her, he was greatly shocked. This small girl not only brutally took down hundreds of people, but also eats like a pig. Seeing this, Hong Junho uses his axe to hand her a bottle of cola, telling the girl to catch her breath before eating more. Jim Yang doesn't hold back and grabs the cola, gulping it down with glug glug sounds. Hong Junho makes no effort to hide his admiration for her. He pulls out his phone and tells Jim Yang, "With this kind of eating broadcast, you can not only eat a ton but also make money, but if you follow me, you can eat even more than these people every day and still make a lot of money." Hearing this, Jim Yang excitedly stands on the table. "You're trying to bribe me with food. My burning spirit will never bow to money." But when Hong Junho guarantees unlimited breakfast, lunch, dinner, late night snacks, and desserts, Jim Yang instantly kneels on one knee and says sincerely, "I will serve you with complete loyalty." With that, she shoulders the food and says she needs to handle some business before serving her master. A week later, Hong Junho sees in the newspaper that a certain city suddenly had an explosion incident, and the culprit was none other than Jim Yang, whom he just recruited. Seeing that Jim Yang's combat power is definitely not to be underestimated. Even though Maru uses all his skills to block the gun, and uses his knife to force Jim Yang off him, he still can't escape getting kicked hard. At the same time, a phone rings on the ground not far away. The battered Oh Jun-shik can only pick up the phone, thinking it's his precious daughter worried about why he's still not home so late. But his daughter says, "Mom bought a lot of eel and raspberries today and told me to sleep at Grandma's tonight. So Dad, am I going to have a little brother or sister?" Hearing this terrifying news, Oh Jun-shik immediately shoots up from the ground. Then, still in shock, he innocently gets hit hard by Maru. Seeing this, Sung-chan and Il-bong quickly tell Oh Jun-shik to take refuge with them, and express their envy that Oh Jun-shik gets to eat eel with his wife again. Hong Junho is very understanding about this. Manager, "Oh, you can leave work early today." But Oh Jun-shik refuses to go home no matter what, determined to stay and work overtime. At this time, Il-bong, lying on the ground, suddenly asks, "Director, who do you think will win this match? It must be Jim Yang, right?" Hearing this, Hong Junho can't help but laugh. "Yes, our little Yang is quite the fighter. That girl fights as well as she eats. Her skills are top tier in the industry. But you know what? Jim Yang became human through training. But Maru, when he knew nothing, he was already a natural-born butcher. Because I found it so amazing, I started teaching him various things. But unexpectedly, techniques that took me a year with a knife to master, Maru learned in just 1 month. So I had him challenge more difficult things. Subduing this mad bull takes even managers over an hour to complete. But this kid Maru finished it in less than 5 minutes. That's when I was certain that the perfect butcher I'd been searching for was standing right before me." Hong Junho then asks Oh Jun-shik if he knows the original meaning of butcher. Oh Jun-shik, who has a doctoral degree, answers, "In Country H characters, it's baikchong. Baik also means nothing. So the original meaning of butcher is a man who has nothing." Hearing the correct answer, Hong Junho excitedly praises Oh Jun-shik for being truly knowledgeable. Precisely because a person has nothing, he can absorb and learn everything. Of course, it won't be easy for Maru to defeat Jim Yang, but we also can't ignore the fact that Maru is steadily growing. Ultimately, the key to this duel lies in whether he suppresses her before being caught up to, or surpasses her before being suppressed. Everyone really wants to know the outcome of the duel, but Hong Junho has no intention of letting them watch, because he wants to show everyone something even more interesting. With one axe, he instantly separates the fiercely battling Maru and Jim Yang. Hong Junho grins wickedly and leans down toward Maru, saying, "Dear little Maru, come fight me instead." Hearing this absurd statement, Jeomyang is the first to stand up and refuse. She hasn't gotten revenge for the cake yet, but Hong Jun-ho immediately pulls out a VIP card. "Take this card and go eat the buffet at the 3-Michelin-star restaurant. It closes in 1 hour." With that, he tosses the card hard toward the exit, and Jeomyang, in order to eat meat, instantly forgets all about revenge against Maru, excitedly clutching the VIP card and happily leaving. Behind her, Maru sees this and immediately swings his short knife at Hong Jun-ho, but unexpectedly he's sent flying by one axe strike instead. This powerful force far exceeds Maru's expectations. Then, watching the axe swing in the distance, the accompanying invisible shockwave makes Maru feel as if he's been slashed. He simply cannot imagine just how strong Hong Jun-ho is. Ever since his father died, Maru became the pillar of his family. To make a living, he came to World Livestock. Although the daily work tasks were heavy, honestly it wasn't that bad, because there was someone who loved him like a son, which is why he always trusted him so much. But Maru doesn't understand why Hong Jun-ho would treat him this way. Thinking of this, he immediately attacks Hong Jun-ho like a madman with his knife, trying to use this method to find out the truth. But Hong Jun-ho reminds him, whether you're cutting a person or a pig, your movements must be clean and sharp. The bigger your movements, the easier it is to spot openings, and you must distinguish between real openings and fake ones. With this reminder, Maru realizes that attacking Hong Jun-ho's openings won't work, but if he counterattacks using the methods he used against Baek Sik-ho and Jeomyang, he'll only get beaten for nothing. Just as Maru is racking his brain for a countermeasure, Hong Jun-ho's large face suddenly appears before him. Startled, Maru immediately dodges backward, but he still gets poked in the stomach by Hong Jun-ho's axe handle. Hong Jun-ho picks at his ear and says, "Who dodges in a straight line during a fight? Remember well, whether attacking or dodging, if your movements are too obvious, you'll get hit." With that, he easily lifts both the axe and Maru with one hand, then suddenly drops the axe and flings Maru away. Being toyed with like this by Hong Jun-ho, Maru charges forward again, overcome with rage. But no matter how he counterattacks, he cannot harm his opponent in the slightest. Il-bong, lying on the ground, can't help but sigh. Director Hong truly deserves to be called the strongest and most brutal berserker. It's absolutely awe-inspiring. But oh, Junshik says Il-bong doesn't understand anything. Section Chief Maru, who can keep up with Director Hong's pace, is equally formidable. We're witnessing the birth of a monster. At this moment, Hong Jun-ho spins his axe rapidly to block attacks. Although Maru is getting stronger as he fights, he's overlooking one important aspect, the size difference between him and Hong Jun-ho. With just a little force, Maru is completely overwhelmed by that large axe. Seeing this, Hong Jun-ho says smugly, "Can you really kill me like this?" Then he chops down hard with the axe, ordering Maru to stand up quickly. How can a person crawl on the ground like a beast? Hearing this, Maru staggers up from the ground. Now his only weapon has been broken. He must quickly get a knife that's still intact. But just as he grabs a new knife, a table is instantly sent flying by Hong Jun-ho. Fortunately, Maru reacts quickly, immediately ducking and thrusting the knife straight at Hong Jun-ho. But unexpectedly, Hong Jun-ho suddenly bends down and squats. Little Maru's shoelaces are loose, still running around everywhere. What if you trip and fall? With that, he grabs Maru's foot and catches him off guard, throwing him into the air. Then he swings the axe at his head, slamming him hard against the wall like playing with a ball. Seeing Maru suffering such heavy damage, Hong Jun-ho says that's enough for today. Then he says to Maru, "Aren't you curious why I did this? Do you know that illicit substances factory you burned down in Country R was worth 3,000 billion? With such a huge sum of money evaporated, do you think those people will let it go? Since you have no way to deal with them, I had to find a method they'd accept to resolve this matter. So I turned your mother into an addict as evidence of punishment. And this battle is proof that you can repay that money. Maru, come work with me. 3,000 billion seems like a lot, but following me you can earn even more. I've already arranged everything. Come to work once your injuries heal." After killing so many people tonight, Maru finally gets the truth, but he doesn't understand. If there were difficulties, wouldn't it be better to just explain? Why make everything so terrible? But Hong Jun-ho thinks doing it this way is more interesting. Hearing such absurd words, Maru suddenly covers his face and laughs maniacally. "I once saw you as my teacher, my father, and my benefactor, but you played with my family just because it's interesting. I originally thought you were human, but you're not even as good as a pig." Director Hong? No, it should be Pig Hong. From now on, I will butcher you. The moment he hears himself called a pig, Hong Jun-ho completely loses it. "You dare treat me like a pig? How rude. If you have the guts, come and butcher me." As the two begin fighting, Oh Junshik quickly writes his will on the ground. Sung Chan and Il-bong watch this operation, completely confused. Oh Junshik explains with a trembling voice. So far, no one has seen Director Hong use his full strength, because everyone who has seen it gets caught up and dies. In other words, we're all done for today. Hong Jun-ho swings his axe and launches a fierce attack at Maru. This time, Maru doesn't dodge. Instead, he grabs the axe and quickly closes the distance with Hong Jun-ho, taking the opportunity to move in with his knife. Seeing Maru try something new, although Hong Jun-ho thinks it's good, this alone isn't enough to hurt him. But he never expected Maru would instantly rotate the blade to adjust the distance, and suddenly cut a bloody line across his face. This action instantly enrages Hong Jun-ho. He thought Maru was just talking, but didn't expect he really wants to kill him. If that's the case, he has no choice but to get serious. As he finishes speaking, he suddenly jumps up and kicks hard at Maru's chest. Seeing that this move was actually withstood, Hong Jun-ho swings his axe with a wicked grin, then try to block the next strike. Do you know where my axe will come from? Left? Right? Or from above? Hearing this, Maru's eyes suddenly dart to the left. He immediately swings his iron hammer to block Hong Jun-ho's incoming axe. He instantly breaks free from the passive situation and launches a frenzied attack. At this moment, Oh Junshik is simply stunned. Maru has not only learned Baek Sik-ho's combo attacks and Choi Doyle's thrust attacks, but has even mastered Jeomyang's slashing attacks. This amazing imitation and learning ability is just too absurd. Could Director Hong actually lose this time? In just a few minutes, Hong Jun-ho is cut and covered in wounds. But soon, relying on his strength advantage, he viciously grabs Maru by the neck. All his grievances transform into iron fists, pounding Maru madly. He loved Maru so much, even helped clean up the mess in Country R, yet Maru dares to treat him like a pig and bite the hand that feeds him. With one heavy punch, he sends Maru flying. Hong Jun-ho picks up the broken axe from the ground and says, "Don't misunderstand me. I never used my full strength against you. Even so, do you still want to fight to the end? If you can't do it, then die. What's the point of making so many people bleed just to save one person? Since you chose this path, you can only die." Hearing these words, Maru can't help but fall into thought. To get revenge, he abandoned the memories they shared together. To stop hesitating, he abandoned those beautiful feelings. He even abandoned the heart that sees people as people. But only now does he realize he alone hasn't abandoned his own life. At this moment, facing Hong Jun-ho swinging his axe at him again, Maru decides to risk his life and abandon even the thought of survival. However, at this moment, Jung suddenly rushes in with a gun, shouting that the VIP card has long expired, and today she must turn Director Hong into a beehive. But as soon as she finishes speaking, Jung instantly loses focus. The gun in her hand drops. Hong Jun-ho turns his head and says to her with a smile, "Our little Yang is here. Listen carefully to what I say. In my office desk, there's a safe. Inside are accounts with your names on them. Half of it is for your retirement funds. The other half goes to our Maru." Watching Hong Jun-ho crash to the ground, tears instantly stream down Maru's face, and he can't help but mutter, "If you want to fight, hurry up and come at me." The moment Hong Jun-ho falls, his mind recalls his childhood when he was deliberately imprisoned in a stinking pig pen. To snatch pig feed from hundreds of peers, he engaged in endless violent fights, using every means possible to become the only surviving pig king. But even though he was already so excellent, in the keeper's eyes, the pig king still had flaws. He had to be driven back into the special pen for pig kings to be screened and determine the king of kings. Only then would he be qualified to be sent outside to carry out near suicidal assassination missions. As the boy gradually grew up, having long seen himself as a pig, he was sent on multiple deadly missions. After miraculously surviving, he suddenly became confused. Was he killing people or pigs? Until one day, the boy returned from death as usual and discovered that the person who always raised them like pigs showed a meek and submissive ugly side before a more powerful being, just like a piglet. As the king of kings, he immediately felt his territory being invaded. He immediately charged forward swinging his axe and cleanly slashed into this piglet's skull. Then he volunteered himself to the woman before him. "If you're going to use livestock, naturally you should use the most perfect one." Thus, the empire of Pigpen overlord Hong Jun-ho was born. He began living a comfortable life raising and training pigs. Then in these boring days, he met Jium Yang, the top agent who fled from Country H, and Maru, who possessed extraordinary butchering talent. In the process of spending time with them, Hong Jun-ho began to dream that he too could live like a human in the future. But reality often doesn't go as planned. Soon, Maru, who was sent to Country R to help the gang livestock company slaughter pigs, accidentally witnessed the gang's secret of hiding illicit substances in pig ribs. In desperation, to save his life, Maru not only killed 3 gang members, but also burned down the entire factory. The loss valued at 3,000 billion made the gang furious. Hong Jun-ho had long come to love Maru like his own child through their time together. So to save his life, Hong Jun-ho did everything possible to make the gang accept his proposed compensation plan. And at the group meeting, he requested the chairman to forgive Maru. But unexpectedly, the chairman suddenly decided to dispose of all of Hong Jun-ho's subordinates. If he refused to comply, he would be thrown back into the pig pen. Hong Jun-ho had always been a pig. For pigs, orders are absolute. But even so, he still wanted to save Maru. For this, Hong Jun-ho followed the plan previously agreed upon with the gang. Without Maru's knowledge, he secretly turned his mother into an addict as evidence of a major offense against the gang. Then he let Maru slaughter the elites of his department and all the employees. To prove that with his butchering talent, he could absolutely create more value for the gang than 3,000 billion. But in the end, Hong Jun-ho never expected that everything he did to save Maru would make Maru see him as an enemy who hurt his family. He even treated him like a pig. He vowed to butcher him with his own hands. This ungrateful behavior made Hong Jun-ho instantly fly into a rage. He decided to follow the chairman's order and kill Maru. But in the end, Hong Jun-ho still couldn't do it. A pig living without purpose versus a human willing to sacrifice his own life to protect something precious. Seeing Maru's appearance, Hong Jun-ho suddenly felt ashamed of himself. He wanted to become human. He wanted to be treated as human. So Hong Jun-ho decided without hesitation to die by Maru's hand, leaving behind all the wealth he had accumulated in his lifetime. Thus, the man who was once the king of the pig pen finally got his wish and died as a human. At this time, tears unknowingly streamed down Maru's face. Looking at Jium Yang, who was previously ready to kill him, he immediately grabs his knife aggressively, wanting to fight. But Jium Yang, seeing that Maru has suddenly become powerful enough to kill Hong Jun-ho, finds her hand holding the knife starting to tremble unconsciously. Her instincts tell her not to fight Maru under any circumstances. So Jium Yang decisively raises both hands in surrender. But this action makes Maru think she's trying to deceive him, and he warily points his knife directly at Jium Yang's throat. But at this moment, Oh Junshik and 2 others suddenly rush over to protect Jium Yang. Ilbong hastily explains, "Now is not the time for infighting. Backup forces from headquarters will arrive soon. Now that Director Hong is dead, we all have only one path, death." With that, the 3 of them ask Maru to take them in. Working together is better than going solo. Hearing this, Maru sets a condition, "Then tell me where Naru is." As he finishes speaking, Oh Junshik and the other 2 all look at Jium Yang. Jium Yang guiltily turns her head away. Earlier, Hong Jun-ho had her take Maru's sister Naru to a fancy restaurant to eat, but when paying, Paying, she discovered the bank card had reached its limit. She could only leave Naru at the restaurant washing dishes while she rushed back to the company to get another card. But after arriving at the company and seeing the delicious cake destroyed, she was instantly consumed by anger and completely forgot about going back to the restaurant to retrieve Naru. Maru is quite helpless about this and can only retreat with everyone first. Then halfway to the hospital, he orders Yang to jump from the car and bring Naru back. Seeing that below is a 100-meter high bridge, Yang bursts into tears in fear, but turning to face Maru's murderous expression. Yang is so frightened she jumps straight out of the car. Meanwhile, Executive Director Choi Ki-jung of World Security Group looks at Hong Joon-ho lying on the ground. His one eye is full of regret. The person who killed Hong Joon-ho should have been him, but now he can only reach out to pry open those originally closed eyelids. Just as Hong Joon-ho took his right eye when they were young, he also takes Hong Joon-ho's eye. Then he assures the World Group chairman that no matter where Hong Joon-ho's killer flees, he will tear those people to pieces and retrieve the safe. Meanwhile, when Maru and his group finally arrive at the hospital, they learn from a nurse that his mother was just taken away by a group of men in suits. Soon after, Oh Jun-shik receives a call from Ji-myung saying that Naru has disappeared, also taken away by men in suits. Hearing this news, Maru instantly grinds his teeth in rage. He immediately assumes that World Group has taken his mother and Naru as hostages. Frantic with worry, he dashes off frantically, determined to storm World Group alone to rescue his family. But unexpectedly, as soon as he reaches the underground exit, he runs right into a large man in a suit. The man says, "We've been waiting for you. Please get in the car and we'll talk." At this, Maru immediately grips the knife hidden in his coat and demands, "Did you take my mother and Naru?" Hearing this, the man bows deeply in apology. "Yes, please forgive my rudeness. You can discuss the details with our representative." As he finishes speaking, the car door behind him opens, revealing an elegant woman sitting inside. "Mr. Maru, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Shen Eun-young, president of Charlotte Hotel." At this very moment, Choi Ki-jung from World Security is leading a group of men rushing to the hospital. He had intended to take Maru's mother away first, but unexpectedly, he runs into Detective Han Tae-shik, who has just learned about Maru's mother's disappearance. As sworn enemies, every time these two meet, they routinely exchange taunts. But this time, Choi Ki-jung is in a hurry to get things done. He doesn't want to waste time tangling with Han Tae-shik here. But just then, a subordinate suddenly runs over, shouting loudly that there's trouble. Maru has already left the hospital, and his mother is gone too. Hearing this, Choi Ki-jung quickly reaches out and grabs his subordinate's jaw. He forcefully breaks the man's teeth. The detective is still here. "How can you talk so carelessly?" he warns. Sure enough, Han Tae-shik chimes in with a reminder, "Don't let me catch you slipping up, or the next time we meet will be at your funeral." Choi Ki-jung. Hearing this, Choi Ki-jung silently pulls out a handkerchief and wipes the blood from his hand. He can't help but wonder, Maru moved faster than them. Could he have found some powerful backing? In fact, what he fears is indeed happening, and the other party is none other than his World Group's sworn enemy, Charlotte Group. At this moment, Maru learns that his family was taken by Shen Eun-young and anxiously asks about their whereabouts. But as soon as he finishes speaking, Il-bong and Sung-chan suddenly get out of the car. Il-bong takes out a video of Maru's mother and says, "We heard that World Group was about to make their move, so we sought help from World's rival, Charlotte. Sorry for frightening you. We should have told you beforehand, but the situation was urgent." Hearing this, Maru is furious. "Taking my family away without permission? How is that any different from those World bastards?" Il-bong, knowing he's in the wrong, nervously asks Maru to watch another video. It shows Choi Ki-jung from World Security with a group of subordinates completely surrounding Maru's mother's hospital room. So if Charlotte hadn't helped, you would have run right into those people. Then Shen Eun-young invites Maru into the car, saying she'll take him to see his mother and Naru right now. In the car, Shen Eun-young openly explains why they became sworn enemies with World Group. Charlotte Group mainly operates in pharmaceuticals, hotels, retail, petrochemicals, and finance. World Group mainly operates in arms, industry, trade distribution, construction, and securities. On the surface, these two groups appear to coexist peacefully, but behind the scenes, they're waging an intense war. What finally ended this long war was one man's force. After losing to its opponent, Charlotte soon split into two factions. One faction wanted to transfer Charlotte Group to World, while the other wanted to protect Charlotte Group. Now, although Director Hong is dead, World Group still possesses overwhelming power. You and your family are now being hunted by World Group. If you rely on Charlotte's financial resources and intelligence capabilities, you might still have a chance to survive. But just as Shen Eun-young is about to say her final words, a van suddenly slams into the rear of their car. This causes their luxury sedan to crash into the roadside greenery. In the emergency, Maru tightly shields Shen Eun-young in his arms. This action makes Shen Eun-young's heart skip a beat. Seeing Maru's reliable appearance, Shen Eun-young reaches out to touch his face and says what she didn't get to say before. "My brother Shin Eun-kyu wants to kill me and transfer Charlotte to World. Those people outside are probably sent by Shin Eun-kyu. So, Mr. Maru, we at Charlotte will protect your family from World's harm. In exchange, are you willing to temporarily become my blade?" Faced with this sudden proposal, Maru is initially shocked. Then he turns, takes out his knife, and opens the car door. "If you can prove you have the ability to protect my family, then I'll become your blade." As Maru gets out of the car to confront the group, Jo Byung-ho, the Charlotte chemical manager leading them, immediately pulls out a short knife from his coat. One of the bald lackeys points at Maru mockingly. "You skinny monkey, are you Shin Eun-young's lover?" But unexpectedly, as soon as he finishes speaking, several of them have their throats slit by Maru. Immediately after, Maru begins swinging his knife, slashing wildly through the crowd. He easily finishes them off one by one. At this moment, Maru deeply realizes just how formidable the people he had fought before truly were. Finally, facing the charging Jo Byung-ho, Maru kills him with just one strike. With all of Shen Eun-kyu's subordinates dead on the scene, Maru turns to look at Shen Eun-young and says, "I've proven my ability. Now it's your turn." Hearing this, Shen Eun-young shows a satisfied smile. "Then before we go see your family, let me prove myself first." With that, she has Maru board a helicopter with her. They immediately head to Director Hong's funeral. Meanwhile, Jiam Yang sits despondently in a restaurant. She's very worried that because she failed to pick up Naru, Maru will kick her out of the team. Growing increasingly anxious, she desperately wants to eat some good food to relieve her stress, but unfortunately, she doesn't have a single penny. Just then, a group of people appears behind her. In an instant, Jiam Yang comes up with a solution. She turns around with a mischievous smile and says, "Comrades, how much money do you have in your pockets?" But Jiam Yang never expected that these dozens of well-dressed World Group employees, all their money combined, wouldn't be enough for her to eat at a street stall. However, just as she's feeling utterly disappointed, she suddenly receives a call from Oh Jun-shik. He says Maru and the Charlotte Hotel president went to Director Hong's funeral and asks her to rush there to rescue them. Hearing this news, Jiam Yang roars like an angry wolf. "That bastard! How dare he leave me behind and go feast by himself?" On the other side, the moment Maru and Shen Eun-young arrive at the funeral, they're blocked at the funeral entrance by a massive crowd from World Group. They threaten to rip off the head of Maru, who killed Director Hong, and place it before Director Hong's memorial tablet as an offering. At this moment, Choi Ki-jung, who has been desperately searching for Maru, suddenly pushes through the crowd. He introduces himself with ill intent, saying he'll personally receive this distinguished guest Maru. But the presidents of two other World Group departments suggest with sinister smiles, "Why don't we all act together?" Seeing himself stared at by a group of people like hungry wolves, Maru is about to draw the knife from his back and fight to the death, but unexpectedly, Shen Eun-young stops him with her hand. Shen Eun-young walks forward confidently and says, "If you kill Maru here, what will World gain?" Hearing this, the World Group people all chime in at once. "That guy disgraced World's honor? Of course we need revenge, and killing the man who killed Director Hong is a great honor." Hearing these words, Shen Eun-young can't help but scoff. "So the honor and glory you speak of comes from a group ganging up on one person? Maru won an fair one-on-one duel with Director Hong, but when Director Hong was alive, none of you dared challenge him. So listen carefully. Even though Charlotte has internal divisions, I will never forgive anyone who dares touch my people. If you kill Maru here, be prepared for war, paying a huge price to take down one man. Even if you win, it's not a real victory. This war has no honor or glory, no benefits whatsoever. Those confident in bearing all the losses, please go ahead. Otherwise, get out of my way." As soon as she finishes speaking, the previously arrogant crowd falls into dead silence. But suddenly, a round of applause breaks the awkward atmosphere. World Group's chairman walks over, clapping. President Shen really knows how to talk. "You're just like your father." With that, she comes before Maru. "So it was you who killed our Director Hong. I'm sure we'll meet again." Watching the purple-haired woman leave, Maru can't help but curiously ask about her identity. Shen Eun-young explains, "That person is Yu Da-in, chairman of World Group and the one who holds the power. She's the one to be most careful of." Then the two come before Director Hong's portrait. But Maru isn't here to mourn. He can never forgive what made his mother an addict. But there's something that confuses him. Why did Hong Jun-ho, who could have killed him, choose in the end to die by his hands? And those words Hong Jun-ho said before dying, "Maru, look, in the end, I'm still human, aren't I? You must live to the end as a human." These mysteries are deeply rooted in Maru's heart. If he can survive, perhaps he'll find the answers. So Maru will make good use of the techniques Hong Jun-ho taught him. He'll kill all his enemies and survive. At this moment, Shen Eun-young stands outside the door and reminds him, "Mr. Maru, once you cross this threshold, you're my blade." Maru doesn't hesitate. He resolutely chooses to walk the same path as Shen Eun-young. A week later, inside Charlotte Hotel, Oh Jun-shik and the other two are trying every way to open the safe Hong Jun-ho left behind. Jiam Yang, meanwhile, is enjoying feasting to her heart's content, and Maru is finally reunited with his mother and Naru. But this rare peace is quickly shattered by an uninvited guest. A subordinate suddenly reports that Charlotte Group Vice Chairman Shen Eun-kyu has arrived. Seeing her brother's bastard appearance, Shen Eun-young irritably asks what he's doing here. But unexpectedly, Shen Eun-kyu completely ignores the question and orders Shen Eun-young to pour him wine as if commanding a subordinate. Shen Eun-young knows well her brother's pestering nature, so with a smile, she picks up the wine bottle and pours it over Shen Eun-kyu's head. "You scum! When we lost the world back then, you pushed for a split and I let it go. But now you're publicly consorting with World's dogs. Dad said he'd give the group to me, but Dad isn't even dead yet, and you're already eyeing the chairman position, even allying with our enemies. Can't you even tell shit from piss anymore? This is exactly why Dad chose me as his heir." Listening to this, Shen Eun-kyu actually savors the remaining wine on his face. Then he harshly grabs his female companion's face and forcefully pours wine into her mouth. Whether it's his companion or Shen Eun-young, everyone must do as he says. Then he catches her off guard by throwing the bottle at Shen Eun-young. With a vicious expression, he jabs her shoulder. "Just because Dad designated you as heir, you think you're chairman already? You know Dad is in a vegetative state, right? Until he dies, you can't inherit anything." Hearing this, Shen Eun-young smiles and retort, "Then you'd better be careful because I'm capable of doing the same things you do." But unexpectedly, as soon as she finishes speaking, Choi Ki-jung nearby suddenly bursts into maniacal laughter. Seeing this, Shen Eun-young tells him to shut his filthy mouth. Charlotte's family affairs aren't for Yu Da-in's dog to interfere with. Feeling his chairman has been insulted, Choi Ki-jung's expression instantly changes. He immediately reaches out his large hand to teach this rude little girl a lesson. But at this critical moment, Maru suddenly rushes forward and slashes Choi Ki-jung's palm with his knife. "You'd better get lost now, or I'll kill you." Hearing this, Choi Ki-jung finds Maru quite interesting. His veins bulge as he prepares to fight Maru. With that, he fiercely swings his claws. In an instant, he scratches several bloody marks on Maru's arm. But even though Choi Ki-jung possesses monster-like grip strength, he's still not as strong as that man with the axe. Maru immediately swings his knife and confidently engages in battle. At this moment, Choi Ki-jung is quite surprised. Somehow Maru has learned Manager Choi's thrust technique, and also Baek Suk-ho's consecutive hammer strike technique. But But what catches Choi Ki-jung's attention even more is that Maru has even learned Agent Gyum-young's slashing technique. It seems Hong Jun-ho really valued you. He taught you so many different techniques piecemeal. But even so, these are all just little tricks in my eyes. After forcing Maru back with one move, he casually lights a cigarette. Then he asks, puzzled, with just this level of skill, how did you kill Jun-ho? What exactly did he see in you that made him care for you so much? As he finishes speaking, Maru charges forward again. Through the previous exchanges, Maru realizes he underestimated his opponent. This man might be even stronger than Hong Jun-ho. But just as Maru tries to make him show an opening, Choi Ki-jung suddenly smashes the table with one palm. In the blink of an eye, he tears through the flesh on Maru's chest with his claws. Then he turns and says, it seems you didn't kill Jun-ho. He willingly died by your hand, didn't he? To sacrifice himself for someone like you. Was he going senile? Hearing these sarcastic words, Maru refuses to accept defeat and charges forward furiously to prove himself. But unexpectedly, Choi Ki-jung grabs his chest with a backhand motion. He twists forcefully at the flesh above Maru's heart. In just an instant, Maru loses his ability to resist and is thrown violently by Choi Ki-jung. Looking at Maru, who can still withstand his ultimate technique, Choi Ki-jung understands. So Jun-ho valued your tenacity. That's why he cared for you so much. Hearing this, Maru looks up with a mischievous smile. Seems he mentioned me to you often. But I've also heard quite a bit about you from him. For example, he once said he particularly cared for a pitiful person who is missing an eye. Choi Ki-jung never expected a mere brat would dare mock him like this. He immediately becomes furious and grabs at Maru's chest again. Palm after palm, he pins him to the ground and beats him savagely. At this moment, Maru realizes he's completely outmatched in strength, speed, experience, and technique. He had decided to protect his mother and Naru, but who knows how many more people as powerful as Choi Ki-jung will appear. This makes Maru doubt whether he can truly protect his family. Just as Choi Ki-jung is about to deliver a fatal blow, a dark figure suddenly appears. Detective Han Tae-shik points his gun directly at Choi Ki-jung's head and says, don't mind me. Please continue what you're doing. You'll have to kill someone in front of a cop for me to have a reason to shoot you. Hearing this, Choi Ki-jung immediately raises both hands and argues, I was just giving a lesson to a junior. Seeing this, Han Tae-shik puts away his gun and remarks, but Executive Director Choi, you're getting old. You actually got injured dealing with this kid. Choi Ki-jung looks at the claw marks on his chest. Could this kid, after seeing his technique just once, already be able to use it? So all his previous techniques were also obtained through imitation. At this moment, Choi Ki-jung has an epiphany. So this is why Jun-ho cared for this guy so much. But at this moment, Maru is suddenly handcuffed. The reason? Emergency arrest as a murder suspect. Shen On-young looks at Maru with a grave expression. She sincerely pats her chest and promises that no matter what it takes, she'll get Maru out as soon as possible. Hearing this, Maru is grateful and asks her to please take care of his family during this time. And with eyes blazing with fury, he warns Choi Ki-jung that even if he dies, he'll personally tear Choi Ki-jung to pieces. Soon after, Oh Jun-shik and the other two learn that Maru has been arrested. They immediately plead with Shen On-young in terror to quickly rescue him. To this, Shen On-young tells them not to panic. Choi Ki-jung, who started the trouble, is fine, but they only arrested Mr. Maru. This means there are world group people inside the police, so we need to plan carefully. At this moment, Jeom Yang says she doesn't care. That butcher is so bad, why bother desperately saving him? If he hadn't killed Director Hong, I wouldn't have lost my job and been forced to live in hiding unexpectedly. These words immediately draw condemnation from Oh Jun-shik and the others. Aren't we comrades who've been through life and death together? How can you say such cold-hearted things? And the fact that you can feast at Charlotte now is all thanks to Maru. At these words, Jeom Yang breaks out in a cold sweat. She immediately pats Shen On-young's shoulder and asks, am I eating this meal because of the butcher, comrade? Without him, I can't eat? Hearing this, Shen On-young indicates that she indeed gave them this treatment because they're Maru's companions. The moment she learns the truth, Jeom Yang realizes she's been benefiting from Maru's favor. She immediately heads toward the door without a second thought. Wait here. I'm going to bring that bastard Maru back right now. Meanwhile, in the police station interrogation room, Han Tae-shik carefully examines Maru. Since that hospital questioning, he's been secretly investigating Maru. Hong Jun-ho was suspected of being a distributor of illicit substances. A Japanese factory suspected of being in the supply chain was burned down. And that woman in her 50s whose seizures were caused by substance abuse, not only did her house collapse, but she also mysteriously disappeared during treatment. And World Group's Choi Ki-jung is searching for a man. The common thread in all these events is Maru. At this moment, seeing Maru's continued silence, Han Tae-shik voices his suspicion. I thought you were World's lackey, but then I found bloodstains from World Livestock employees at your house, and Director Hong is dead, yet you appear at his funeral with Shen On-young. What exactly is your relationship with World? Say something. Always showing that face like you've killed dozens of people. How can I help you? But unexpectedly at this moment, an older detective suddenly bursts in. Carrying food and smiling, he explains, it's been hours. If you don't let him eat, someone's going to die. Then he lowers his voice and reminds him, you threatened to arrest someone with a gun without solid evidence. The chief is furious and has been looking for you. Hearing this, Han Tae-shik has no choice but to leave temporarily, telling Detective N to watch over things for him. As the door closes, Detective N's expression instantly changes. He tells Maru to relax. Higher-ups pulled strings to send him here. Fill your stomach first, then we'll talk slowly. With that, he slams Maru's head into the steaming, hot, spicy soup. He grins wickedly. Someone's coming to pick you up soon, so let's have some fun before then. This action immediately makes Maru understand that this person is World Group's mole. At the same moment, in the police station locker room, a female officer is stripped and stuffed into a locker. Gam Yang, having changed into her clothes, has come to rescue Maru. But just as she kicks open the interrogation room door, ready to show her skills, the scene before her makes her freeze instantly. She sees Maru has openly killed a police officer inside the station. This action immediately frightens Jeom Yang into a cold sweat. She gasps, "Maru is a madman." Seeing this, Maru explains, "This cop is World Group's lackey. Their people are on their way, so I can't just sit here and wait to die. You came at the perfect time. As an agent, you should know how to frame World Group." These words instantly leave Yang stunned. Then she shouts angrily, "You shameless and vicious bastard! You just know how to order me around without limits." Seeing this, Maru proposes treating her to an unlimited top-grade Wagyu beef feast afterward. This proposal instantly hits foodie Yang's weak spot. She immediately agrees with a beaming smile to help with the cleanup, and she respectfully escorts Maru out of the interrogation room. Before leaving, Maru tells Yang he'll go to Charlotte Hotel first to wait for her. But just as he leaves, World Group's people arrive. The moment they open the interrogation room door, the pungent smell of blood hits the white-haired man in the face. In the dim room, they see a figure sitting motionless. Mistaking him for Maru, a subordinate casually pushes him. The sitting figure collapses with a crash, revealing their mole's face, long dead. The white-haired man's face fills with disbelief. He never expected Maru would dare kill a cop inside the police station. At this moment, a subordinate touches the warm blood on the corpse and reports to the white-haired man that death occurred not long ago. Hearing this, the white-haired man immediately orders his subordinates to scatter and search. They completely fail to notice Yang clinging to the corner of the room, and Yang never expected that the person who came would be the white-haired man she once worked with. Seeing no sound outside, Yang nimbly jumps down. She pokes her head out to observe the surroundings, but unexpectedly, the next second, the white-haired man suddenly appears and kicks the door violently. The door's powerful momentum slams into Yang's face. Seeing this, Yang knows the other party definitely discovered her long ago. The white-haired man smiles lecherously. "The moment I came in, I smelled your scent. This uniform, did you change into it specially knowing I was coming?" Hearing this, Yang retorts strongly, "You dead pervert. No matter how much time passes, you're still so disgusting." With that, she pulls out her gun and pulls the trigger, wanting to attract police to complete the frame-up. However, the white-haired man isn't panicked at all. He dodges forward and sweeps at Yang's legs. Yang, bending to dodge, immediately delivers a fierce liver punch, then quickly follows with a heavy strike to the white-haired man's face. But unexpectedly, after taking this heavy punch, the white-haired man shows an expression of enjoyment and exclaims how great it feels. Then his left hand grabs Yang's wrist, while his right hand grabs her collar. He gives Yang a fierce shoulder throw. The instant pain makes Yang realize this madman is still as tough as before. But before she can get up, a pair of size 48 shoes suddenly attacks. Seeing this, Yang immediately does a side roll and tumbles away. After adjusting her stance, she pulls out the blade from her waist. She plans to use the dagger to teach the white-haired man a good lesson. Seeing this, the white-haired man reaches for his belt and charges with a sinister grin. "Oh my, I'm pulling something out too. But mine's a bit big. Can you handle it?" Hearing this, Yang says to let him pull it out so she can help cut it clean. But at this moment, a police officer suddenly appears with his gun drawn, shouting, "Don't move!" The two are forced to stop their actions. Seeing the young cop's nervous, trembling appearance, the white-haired man, whose fun was interrupted, says angrily, "Put the gun down! You've never killed anyone, have you? Stop trying to scare people, you rookie." Seeing he's been exposed, the young cop warns even more nervously, "Don't move, I really will shoot." Hearing this, the disbelieving white-haired man immediately tells him to shoot. The next second, a bullet pierces his right shoulder. Hearing the gunshot behind him, the young cop quickly turns around and sees the person who fired. It's Hante Shik, who was called away by the chief. Hante Shik walks forward and begins listing the white-haired man's crimes. The next second, he discovers the police officer's corpse in the interrogation room. He immediately demands the two explain who killed the detective. Seeing this, Yang immediately begins framing him. "This guy did it all." Hearing this, the white-haired man immediately roars, "Bullshit, you killed him. The cop was already dead when I got here." But clearly, a thug's words have extremely low credibility. Hante Shik directly orders his subordinates to arrest and investigate him. Then he orders Yang, disguised as a police officer, to write and submit a report. But it's Yang's salute from another country that exposes her. She immediately has no choice but to flee in panic. Meanwhile, Maru, who is heading to the hotel, calls Shen Un-young. "I'm being followed right now. I don't know how many people yet. I'll come over after I deal with them. Send a car to pick me up quickly." After hanging up, he charges into an alley, planning to lure them all over. But just as he passes a corner, someone is hiding in the shadows, holding an axe, planning a sneak attack. Fortunately, Maru ducks in time to avoid the ambush. Then, taking advantage of the gap in the opponent's attack, he kills him with one strike. Dragging the corpse, he continues charging down the street. The World Group subordinates who are following see this and immediately chase in unison, accompanied by the sounds of blades piercing flesh and painful groans. Only Maru emerges from the alley. After getting into the car stopped at the alley entrance, Maru calls to thank Shen Un-young. The car came so quickly. "Thank you so much." The next second, Shen Un-young on the phone tells him the car she arranged is just about to leave. Hearing this, Maru hangs up and asks, "You're from World Group 2, aren't you?" The driver, seeing he's been exposed, immediately grins viciously. He floors the gas pedal, wanting to take Maru down with him. In response, Maru quickly unbuckles his seatbelt. He kicks fiercely at the driver's forehead. He forcefully causes the vehicle to crash into a nearby utility pole. After kicking the car door open, Maru, feeling dizzy and disoriented, doesn't understand why the other party knew his exact location. Just as he reaches to massage his neck to relieve the pain, he unexpectedly finds a tracking device. This immediately makes him realize the other party is deliberately delaying his return. Thinking of this, he hurriedly calls Shen Un-young to ask where she is. But the answer he gets is that her father suddenly took a critical turn, so she's at the hospital now, and her brother is convening the board of directors planning to seize the company. "We need to get to the company immediately." Hearing this, Maru never expected the other party would pull this move. After hanging up, he grips his phone tightly in fury. If Shen Un-young falls, falls, his mother and Naru will be in danger. So no matter what, he has to find a way to protect Shin On-young. Looking at the tracking chip in his hand, he suddenly thinks of a solution. So he hurriedly calls Guillaume Yang. He has her put on a gliding suit and fly to the board of directors with the tracking chip. On the other side, after seeing her father's condition stabilize, Shin On-young plans to leave the hospital room and head to the company. But unexpectedly, the moment she opens the door, she discovers the door has been locked, and an unknown gas is seeping through the door crack. Before long, it knocks Shin On-young and the others to the ground. Unwilling to give up, she forces herself to stay conscious. Just as she despairs and closes her eyes, Maru suddenly appears before her. Don't give up yet. We still have a chance. I've already sent Guillaume Yang. On the other side, Guillaume Yang, hanging on the high-rise, is witnessing a tragedy unfold. The white-haired man, released through World Group connections, used the tracking device to track them to the company's board of directors, and he's joining forces with Shen On-kyu to eliminate the board members. Anyone who disagrees with Shen On-kyu managing the company has all been eliminated. Seeing the matter resolved, the white-haired man can't help but walk to the window to think. The tracker shows it's right here, so why can't he find Maru? The next second, he looks down and discovers someone hanging outside the wall. Seeing this stuns him. He immediately grabs Guillaume Yang and throws her directly into the room. And at this critical moment, Maru has already arrived at the board of directors. The moment he sees Maru, the white-haired man's walnut-sized brain can't quite process it. Then he immediately grins and gives up thinking. If I just kill both of them, won't that solve the problem? But just as he charges toward Maru, Guillaume Yang catches him off guard with a sweeping strike, instantly kicking the white-haired man away. Feeling the familiar force, the white-haired man immediately realizes the person wearing the helmet is Guillaume Yang. With that, he starts to unbuckle his belt, wanting to let Guillaume Yang taste his cannon. But at this moment, Shin On-kyu stops him, saying to deal with Maru first. If Maru came alone, doesn't that mean the old man and Un-young are done for? So if we just deal with Maru, we're home free. But unexpectedly, as soon as he finishes speaking, Shin On-young walks in. Who did you say is dead? I won't die before you, you scum. Hearing this, Shin On-kyu becomes somewhat at a loss. He stares dumbly as Shin On-young passes in front of him. Then he suddenly asks curiously if dad is dead. But Shin On-young slaps him right across the face. Feeling her anger, he realizes the old man is still alive, and arrogantly says he's already obtained the board's approval and successfully seized power. But Shin On-young picks up the various documents and contracts Shin On-kyu forced the board to sign. She tears them to shreds and curses furiously. You idiot! These contracts without court certification, just tear them up and they're worthless. Hearing this, the uneducated man is so angry he trembles, completely unaware such a thing existed. Furious from embarrassment, he immediately tells the white-haired man to kill Shin On-young, promising him the position of vice chairman afterward. At these words, the white-haired man immediately charges excitedly toward Shin On-young. But the next second, he's driven back by Maru and Guillaume Yang together. Then Maru tells Guillaume Yang to take Shin On-young and leave first. He'll handle everything here from now on. But as the two continue fighting, Maru discovers the opponent seems to have no sense of pain. Curious, he can't help but ask, "You have no sense of pain?" Hearing this, the white-haired man replies proudly, "You guessed it. Well then, I'll just have to send you to your death." The more he fights, the more excited he gets. Seeing his opponent is so difficult to deal with, Maru decisively draws his knife and slashes fiercely. He tries to use the blade to sever the nerves in the opponent's hand, but unexpectedly the opponent uses a specially made knuckle dagger and directly shatters the weapon in Maru's hand. Then, taking advantage of his moment of shock, he kicks fiercely at his chin, instantly kicking Maru senseless to the ground. But just as the white-haired man swings his fatal strike, about to end the battle, Maru uses scattered objects to block the attack. At this moment, as a pig butcher, he realizes that perverts like the white-haired man who enjoy pain are really no different from pigs. If you don't attack vital points, they won't go down easily. And if the damage is too light, it only makes the pig more violent. So when slaughtering a pig, you must kill with one strike. If the situation doesn't allow it, you need to attack the head to knock it unconscious. But what Maru never expected is that after taking a heavy blow, the white-haired man not only doesn't pass out, but arrogantly says that if you want to knock him out, you should prepare an iron hammer, you bastard. Seeing this method doesn't work, Maru decisively activates pig slaughtering technique number 2. When encountering such unexpected situations, prioritize attacking the limbs to restrict mobility. The white-haired man, feeling his arm fracture, immediately counterattacks with a leg sweep, but Maru finds the opportunity and breaks his calf. But even though the broken bone has pierced through the muscle, the white-haired man still excitedly charges forward to continue fighting. Knowing this method can't defeat this guy, Maru immediately discards the hammer. He shifts to the side and assumes a charging stance. Seeing new tricks, the white-haired man becomes even more excited. The next second, Maru strikes him in the solar plexus with one palm, then twists forcefully. He twists the white-haired man 180 degrees in the air, but Maru doesn't stop there, because he knows one time won't be enough to finish the white-haired man. So he performs an aerial combo. He twists the white-haired man in a spiraling ascent, as the white-haired man crashes to the ground. Due to the forceful twisting, Maru's hands can no longer fight. But at this moment, laughter comes from behind him. The white-haired man actually gets up. He mutters, "First time feeling my organs churning. It's fantastic. You're qualified to taste my cannon." But as soon as he finishes speaking, blood spurts from his mouth. Then he completely collapses to the ground, his whole body trembling. "Cannon, let you taste my cannon." Seeing this, Maru breaks out in a cold sweat. Fortunately, this technique worked, otherwise I'd be in trouble. And while finishing off the white-haired man, the burly man responsible for meeting Maru comes over and reminds him, "Mr. Maru, leave here quickly. The other side's reinforcements have already arrived." Meanwhile, on the other side, Shin On-young, who has reached a safe location, gets off the plane and calls World Group asking if they want to start a war, openly killing our group's executives. "You need to take full responsibility." But unexpectedly, Yu Da indirectly declares war. "President Shen, don't worry. We've already started cleanup work shock, not only Charlotte Group headquarters, but also President Shen's hotel will take care of cleaning everything up, as if nothing ever existed in the first place. But as World Group subordinates pour into the hotel, they all freeze in place. At this moment, there's not a single person in the hotel. Seeing the situation, the team leader in charge of the search suddenly gets a headache. At this rate, won't I have to work overtime again? But at this moment, his teammate suddenly shouts, "All the doors here are locked, and even the elevators are all stopped." Hearing this, the team leader, realizing something's wrong, immediately breaks into a cold sweat. The next second, the hotel is suddenly detonated. At the same moment, at Charlotte Group headquarters, World Group's reinforcements see the white-haired man's miserable state. They can't help but mock him for not being able to beat even Maru. When he sees the spiral-shaped wound on the white-haired man, he's suddenly overjoyed. I didn't expect Maru had already learned to use his technique so well. Meanwhile, Maru, who is evacuating from Charlotte Group headquarters, is told by the escort bodyguards, S-City is now completely controlled by World Group. Being here puts us at a disadvantage. On the contrary, President, Shen has established a foundation in F-City from long ago. Even World Group would find it difficult to breach there, so we need to get to F-City now. Meanwhile, on the other side, at Charlotte Hotel in F-City, Shen Eun-young is urgently dealing with World Group's invasion, and she's also brought Maru's family here. After warm greetings, Naru notices Jeong-yang isn't there. She can't help but ask curiously. Shen Eun-young has no choice but to tell her hesitantly that Jeong-yang has something to do and will arrive later. The reason is that on their way to F-City, when Jeong-yang heard the destination was F-City, she immediately said she had some personal business. She hurriedly put on her gliding suit and leaped from the plane. She completely forgot she was still carrying World Group's tracking device. Little did she know, World Group's people were staring at the rapidly moving coordinates on their phones. And at this moment, Jeong-yang, who has landed safely, is quietly sneaking home. But she's suddenly hit with a heavy punch to the top of her head. But she has no complaints about this, because everyone here is the most important person to her. After she's called to the table to eat, the aunt who smells her sour odor sends her to take a bath, telling her to come out and eat after washing. But what she never expected is that when she finishes bathing and comes out, she discovers that all her most cherished family members have died violent deaths, and she's simultaneously surrounded by 4 people with guns pointed at her head.